Orlando really is in the middle of one of the biggest battleground states in the country, in the middle of the biggest swing region in the state. It lies in what we call the heart of the I-4 corridor, which is a stretch of interstate which runs from the East Coast and Daytona Beach to the West Coast out in the Tampa-St. Petersburg area. So both campaigns have determined that if they can get the Orlando area to swing to their way, they can get Florida to end up in their column and possibly win the elections.
Democrats in Orange County, which is the county that the city of Orlando is in, actually outnumber Republicans about 3-2. I believe there's around 300,000 registered Democrats and around 200,000 registered Republicans.
Here in Orlando, the I-4 corridor, he drew 9,000 people to a stadium on a local university campus. Most of those people were outsiders, frustrated voters that were tired of the normal political message that we've heard in previous years and decided to support this man. And en route to his victory in the Republican primary, Donald Trump took 66 out of 67 counties here in Florida with two other candidates from Florida running in the same state. Donald Trump was able to basically sweep both of them.
We know that Hillary Clinton is the most qualified person to run. She was a US Senator, a Secretary of State, and now she's running for president. Kind of a natural progression for her. Hillary Clinton has, of course, been attacked by the Republicans and the right wing for the last 30 years. So they've had 30 years to campaign against her and to create a message against her. So it's hard for Hillary Clinton's campaign to overcome that and to really speak to what her message is and how she's going to keep up the good work that President Barack Obama has been doing over the last 8 years of his presidency.
Donald Trump has had very alternative rhetoric, if you will, regarding immigration. He says he wants to build a wall along the Mexican border, along the southern border from the United States to Mexico. That hasn't resonated very well with the Hispanic population, and Hillary Clinton has called them out on it.
Latinos, whether you are Mexican, he's mainly picked on Mexican immigrants, both legal and illegal immigrants, or not. Latinos don't like that. They absolutely don't like that. And remember that was one of the first things that came out of his mouth on the very first day that he announced his candidacy. So can't take that back now. He has continued to really double down on that, including after he visited Mexico and spoke with President Peña Nieto. He comes back here and apparently he was ticked off about something. He goes to an Arizona rally where he really, I watched part of that rally. I had to turn it off. I got to turn this off. I can't listen to this anymore. I'm not giving it ratings, in other words. I just couldn't because it was just so over the top. So I think people are very, very concerned. Doesn't matter whether you're Mexican or not. Doesn't matter whether you are here legally or not. People don't like that at all. The Latino vote is pretty much with Hillary Clinton, and by very large margins. We're not even talking teeny tiny. We're talking, good 20, 30 percentage point difference between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton in key states that are considered swing states like Florida and where you have large Latino population like Florida.
Well, it's heartbreaking to see that. We are in a time that is very crucial for us to spread understanding and peace and acceptance. And here we are faced with this bigotry and division. We want to build bridges, not build walls. And unfortunately, we've seen an increase, in this rhetoric, and it's scary and frightening, not just for us as citizens, but as the international community as well is worried. There is definitely an increase. We heard so many incidents where Muslim women been attacked, where some of our house of worship's been vandalized, and things like that. So definitely it adds fuel to the fire. And most of the people that commit this type of crimes, they are supporters of this candidate.
Deplorable. It was on the 2-month anniversary of the Pulse massacre, the massacre that happened right behind me, for Donald Trump and Marco Rubio to travel to Orlando on the 2-month anniversary of an attack against LGBTQ people to speak at an event sponsored by noted hate groups like the Liberty Council, like the American Family Association, groups that have called us militant homo-fascists, people who have blamed us for HIV/AIDS, saying that it was what we deserved because of our lifestyles, saying that same-sex parenting is a social experiment. I mean, I could go on with the examples of deplorable hate speech coming out of folks like those who organized that conference. And actions speak louder than words. To give credence, to give credibility to far-right extremists like those at that conference said all that I need to hear about Marco Rubio and Donald Trump's values.
Well, this election year has really kind of underscored the importance of making sure that we elect pro-equality candidates for public office. It's really underscored the need for us to elect candidates who are in favor of common sense gun safety laws. And the rhetoric has really just been so divisive. People like Donald Trump literally asked LGBT people in Orlando to turn against our Muslim and Islamic brothers and sisters. We rejected that. You have politicians like Marco Rubio who are running for re-election here in Florida after his failed presidential bid, who are using the Pulse tragedy to try to reignite their political careers without showing any indication or any support for equality and fairness for the LGBT community, have embraced the support that they've gotten from the NRA, the National Rifle Association, an extremist group that wants to basically eliminate any possibility of us getting universal background checks or any restrictions on high-capacity magazines and military-style assault weapons. It's just really frustrating, and it underscores the importance of making sure people participate in this upcoming election and support candidates who are in favor of common sense gun safety measures and equality.
But I think that LGBTQ people this election are watching closely what candidates are saying. They're watching closely their past voting history, their track record, whether they have one or not. And we turn out to vote in large numbers, and I do believe that it could have a significant impact on the results of this election.
I happen to be one of those people who, there are times when he speaks where I just cringe. and wish that he would be a little bit more polished and you know, say things that maybe are, you know, maybe he just thought about what he was saying before it came out of his mouth. And I think a lot of Republicans agree with that sentiment. He is unlike anything the Republican Party has ever seen, and actually any political party in recent memory. And so I don't know how to explain his rise, other than I think you're seeing that career politicians are really upsetting a lot of people. I mean, the federal government in Washington, D.C. can't get anything done, and so I don't blame voters for wanting to try and go with somebody who is not in D.C. and embroiled in all of that. I think that's really what you're getting at, is you're getting at a voter base that has just too long been voting for the people that are in office and have been embroiled in politics, and they said, let's try something new. And that's been his message, you know, what do you have to lose with trying somebody that's an outsider?
I've always been a fan of Mr. Trump. You know, I'm one of those people that actually auditioned for The Apprentice and didn't get it. But more importantly, I appreciate that our country is in desperation of someone that truly wants to lead it, and lead it without fear. And that's why I like Mr. Trump. I like everything that he has to say. I believe in his positions on immigration. I believe in his positions on border control. I believe in his position on the $20 trillion debt. And I believe on pretty much everything he says. So, you know, it is what it is. I support him.
My dad told me years ago, when politics started to go south, as far as politicians taking advantage of the system and not listening to the people who elected them, that this day would come, a revolution would come, and this day is it. I have 2 children of my own. I have grandchildren, and of course they won't have the same world that I grew up in. It's much different, but they should have the same freedoms, and they shouldn't be in a socialist society where elite politicians tell them what to do. And Mr. Trump, I believe, and I've heard others say it, I believe he was sent by God, that this is our last chance as far as our faith is concerned before the end of days. Mr. Trump, I believe, in his heart is for the people of this country. And I'm with him, as I would be during the days of Armageddon. If I didn't leave in the rapture, I would be in the Lord's army, and I'd gladly die for it.
Well, I love Donald J. Trump because being a veteran, he's all for veterans. He's going to take care of us because we've been put on the back burner for way, way too long. And our veterans, you know, people need to support veterans because we're the ones that help, besides our blue lives, we're the ones that help keep America safe. So that's my main reason for, and Mr. Trump is an honest, a very honest person. He doesn't drink, he don't smoke. Look at his children. None of his children been in trouble, so, which means he's a great role model. So he's not a politician, but we've had politicians for years, so that's what we need, somebody new.
Well, obviously, one is, you know, very, very pro-gun, and one is very not pro-gun, but at the same time they have tons of pro-gun bodyguards around them. So, you know, you're going to get that every year. You're going to have somebody for it, somebody against it, and that's just what you're going to have. You know, we'll kind of leave that up to them. But it, you know, my view is I think it's going to be extremely hard to take away the Second Amendment, and not to mention the uproar you would have from the people. And, you know, there's always talk about the types of guns that are out there, this, that, and the other, but all, you know, this amendment was designed to level the playing field, because even if you had a hypothetical situation and you take away all the guns, right? All the guns, just make them totally illegal, right? Now who are your only people with the guns? Your bad guys who don't care about breaking the law anyways. So if those guns are going to be out there in the black market, you know, kind of similar to drugs, you're never, you know, drugs are illegal, but somehow they're still being circulated and people are still abusing them, right? And there's still crazy people abusing them. So it was designed to level the playing field. Even if we get invaded or something by another country, God forbid, or something happens, it's to level the playing field. You know, you don't want to bring a knife to a gunfight.
For the faith community here in Central Florida, life is very important, a traditional marriage is very important. School choice is another issue that is very important for the community, and those are issues that Donald Trump is speaking in a very positive manner that he supports. So I believe the many evangelicals, many people from the faith community will feel comfortable. On the other hand, the other option, which is Hillary Clinton, she's on the other opposite side of the spectrum when it comes to those values.
I do think that politically, you know, I would say that I think Americans, and especially the city of Orlando, we have great concerns about our presidential election. I don't know that I have talked to anyone who's thrilled about either candidate. And no matter who wins, I think there are concerns about what does that mean for our future. But from a Christian perspective and the church's perspective, the great news is that, you know what, the future is not held in the hands of any politician. We believe the future is held in the hands of our God, and we trust that. So we're going to be at peace about it no matter what happens, and try to move forward in ways that are honoring to God.
This is the nastiest presidential campaign that the United States have ever seen, and I believe one of the most negative campaigns that we've seen in the civilized world as far as elections go.
This is the absolute worst campaign, without any doubt.
In this one, I don't know if there's going to be name calling and yelling and how nasty the attacks are going to get.
We do have two candidates who have the highest net unfavorability ratings out of any other presidential candidates.